Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to be looking at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Superman vs. Superman of Earth 3 2-pack. This is going to be Superman vs. Ultraman with a small figure of Atomica. Atomica is pretty much the Crime Syndicate's version of the Atom, a shrinking hero. I ordered this from the McFarlane toy store, used a bundle discount, paid just a hair over retail. It's also available at Amazon and some other places for pre-order. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, DC Multiverse, Superman vs. Superman of Earth 3. 85th anniversary of Superman. Here they are in the package. We have a ton of hands, and they should be interchangeable between both the figures. Superman with the worst face sculpt you've ever seen. Ultraman with maybe a better head than last time, and a little Atomica. We also have a pretty cool diorama base. One side of the package, Superman versus Superman of Earth 3. Other side says pretty much the same thing. I find it interesting that they call it Superman versus Superman of Earth 3 instead of versus Ultraman, but whatever. The bottom, got a bunch of credits, and there is a barcode, in case it helps anybody. And to the back side, here's Superman versus Ultraman. This face sculpt looks a ton better than what we actually get on the figure. So with no further ado, let's open it up. And here's a look at all the different 2-packs McFarlane has made so far. One could argue this is sort of a 3-pack because of Atomica, but really, she's just an accessory. I hope they make a 7-inch version of her eventually, but not very hopeful. I believe the next 2-pack to come out is going to be Superman versus Cyborg Superman, but I'm not 100% sure of that. Alright. Now that these figures are out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. They come with quite a bit of stuff. We have 2 display stands, 2 collector's cards. It looks like 6 alternate hands, totaling 10 interchangeable hands that you can share between the 2 figures. At least that's how I assume it works. We have a display base, which is the ruined Daily Planet, and then Atomica, which is sort of a new character in itself, but more or less just an accessory since it's a very small version. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures individually. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation, and then we'll compare them with a bunch of other action figures. So, hope you guys enjoy this video, and let's start off by checking out the neutral pieces. Let's start off with the diorama base. McFarlane 2-packs almost always come with really cool diorama bases. This is the ruins of the Daily Planet. So you can see down here, it starts off Daily Planet, the big sort of globe that they have, their logo. It's all ruined. Looks fantastic. Metal shards everywhere. That's how it looks on the inside. It's finished on the back as well. It's got some pegs on it to allow your figures to stand. Still, very nice little prop there. Here's how the promotional photos show the 2 figures onto this display stand, about to face off. And then we have Atomica. Now, one could argue it's a 3-pack, but personally this is just a 2-pack. She's an accessory, but it is a whole new character you get to add to your collection. Personally, I would have much rather had a 7-inch version in a single pack with a small one like this included. Still, it's kind of cool. She's basically the Crime Syndicate's version of the Atom, a hero that can shrink. Let's take a look at her. She has 0 articulation. Looks like it's a black woman. I'm not familiar with this version from the Crime Syndicate. She has the Atom logo on her chest. Belt down here. Like I said, 0 articulation, but her feet are flat. At least she can stand pretty easily. Doesn't look bad. She does have a hole in the bottom to attach to the diorama stand. Cool to add another member of the Crime Syndicate, although I really want them to do Johnny Quick. Here she is, next to McFarlane's version of the Atom. Like I said before, I would love to get Atomica in 7-inch scale. That way we could have a full-size and a shrunk-down version. And here she is, next to both a DC Direct and Mattel version of the Atom from the CW's Arrowverse. Then, next to a couple of other shrunken-down Atom figures. These are both from Mattel. And here she is, next to a couple of McFarlane Atom Smasher figures. The Atom Smasher is related to the original Atom, but he has the opposite abilities. He can get larger instead of smaller. And here she is, next to the Shrinking Ray. The Shrinking Ray is pretty much the same character as the Atom from the TV show Invincible. This is from Diamond Select Toys. In addition to that, both the figures have display stands. Nothing special to see here. They also come with a pair of collector's cards. The one on the left says Superman. The one on the right says Superman of Earth 3, also known as Ultraman. And here's the backside of the cards, if anyone of you wants to try to read them. Now let's get to the actual figures. Now, beyond the hands, the display base, and Atomica, they don't have any traditional accessories. Now it looks like these hands are going to be interchangeable between both the figures, and we'll check that out real quick. But first, let's take a look at both the figures. So, this is pretty much the Rebirth Superman. It's on the infected Superman body, a little bit big and buff. Now the head is the biggest problem. About the goofiest, dumbest looking Superman head I've ever seen. He's chubby, he's smiling, just looks weird. Now I've seen a lot of people say the neck peg is just a little bit too short. The head sits too low on the neck and adds to the ridiculous look. And that's probably true. I don't know if I have any other pegs. I'll pop that off and check that out shortly. But God, it just looks goofy. It looks awful. It looks dumb. That being said, it's a Superman infected body we've seen so many times. Double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. Just a little bit too buff for your typical Superman. But my God, that face. And then we have Ultraman, and this one might actually be an improvement on the first one, whereas he most certainly is not an improvement on the Rebirth Superman. He's got the red around the eyes, he's angry, he's fighting, about to use laser vision, hair kind of blowing the wind, a little bit unkept. U on his chest, Ultraman logo. Now the Ultraman body always looked weird here in the torso. It's like the top half, it just sinks in way too much, the bottom half. I feel like maybe the bottom half of his torso and the top half of his would look a lot better. He's got the kind of weird little silver belt thing there. Once again, double jointed knees, double jointed elbows, sculpted lines on the boots, much larger cape. I'd say this Ultraman is an improvement from the original, but the Rebirth Superman most certainly is not. And a closer look at Superman's face and head sculpt. It just looks dumb. That goofy grin, the chubby cheeks, no neck. Somebody make me a meme. This would be perfect. We'll use this all the time. At least the curl looks good. But God, those chubby cheeks, that goofy smile. Here's a look at the head, slightly risen up. It's just sitting on top of the peg right now. It does look a lot better. That is definitely part of the problem, but still, it's just a goofy, shitty looking head sculpt. But not as bad as this head sculpt. And a closer look at Ultraman's face and head sculpt. And the other one looks horrible. This one actually looks pretty good. The hair, the eyes, the stern, angry expression, works for a villainous Superman. And here are both the figures, broken down as far as they can go, with all of their removable parts detached. Now let's take a look at his hands. He has 10 of them, 5 pair, but really it's 4 pair per figure because it has 2 sets of fists. It's the only hand that it has 2 sets of, which makes most sense, as you might want to have them punch each other on top of the Daily Planet Rebel. Here's Superman with his first pair of hands. This is a pair of flight hands. Now I think every single Superman figure out there should come with a pair of fists and a pair of flight hands, bare minimum. At least this pack does that. Then, his next pair of hands. These are some weird, sort of large grabbing hands. And his next pair of hands, his right hand has the index finger pointing, and his left hand sort of open in a weird fashion. And then his final pair of hands. These are his fists. And onto Ultraman. Here he is with his fists. Then, with the pointing and open hand. Then, with his 2 larger grabbing or choking hands, and finally, with the flight hands. Making 4 pair of hands that are interchangeable between both figures is actually a very efficient and logical way to handle that, and double up with the fists. It's perfect for this set. At least they made the wrist pegs painted in flesh color. McFarlane has had some issues with that in the past. This is how it should be, and makes sense. Now I want to check out the differences between this smiling Superman next to the Rebirth Superman. Obviously, the head is different. This one looks a lot more serious. Head's a little bit smaller, not quite as wide, not quite as low. The blue, a little bit darker on him, lighter on him. Belt's painted the same. Shades of red are also a little bit different, darker on the Rebirth. And then the boots, they grossly inaccurately just painted that line there and left the sculpted boots that really didn't make a lot of sense here. They went ahead and just painted up red. Looks a lot better. Everything else, sculpt-wise, is identical besides the heads. Paint job, a little bit different. And now, the differences between this Ultraman and the original Target-exclusive version. So, the head is going to be the biggest difference. They both have the red eyes. His a little more red around. The actual eyes are red. Hair is similar, but definitely a little bit different. He's a spikier, a little bit more wavy. Eyebrows a little angrier on him. I think this one a little bit cooler, a little bit better. As you go further down, blue's a lot lighter in the original version. The red is lighter on the new version, a little bit darker on the original version. Beyond that, pretty much everything else is the same, just slightly different paint job and a slightly different head. Now that I've taken a pretty good look at both the figures and their accessories, now let's check out their height. Rebirth Superman here, from bottom to top of his head, 7.2 inches tall. Ultraman here, about 7.3 inches tall. Both going to translate to just over 18 centimeters. Now for the articulation. Start with Superman here. His head can rotate from side to side, can look up and down. Not as much as I'd like. You need to be able to look up a little bit more than that to get him to a good flight pose, although the torso does help with that. Can't tilt his head from one side to the other. I feel like if it stood a little bit higher than the neck, which it's probably supposed to, it would move a little bit better. Seems it's sort of blocking itself. Shoulders on a ball joint goes out a little bit more than 90 degrees, up, down, around. Butterfly joint, increase the range of motion and cover up the large gap there. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbow. His wrist can rotate. It's going to be hinged as well. Torso, rotate around, forward and back, ball joint. Another one is waist, rotate around, forward and back. Between the two, very good range of motion in his torso area. A little bit more in the waist than the torso. Legs, complete as splits, not a ball joint. McFarlane style hip joints, rotation, very minimal. I go forward about that far, back not much. Double jointed knees. Then his ankle, forward and back, tilt rock, rotate, and of course, toe articulation. Then, for Ultraman's articulation, start with his head, rotate side to side. He can look up and down quite a bit more than Superman. Tilt from side to side. Shoulders, ball joint, more than 90 degrees. Up, down, around. Butterfly joint as well. Covering a large gap, increase the range of motion. Bicep cut, although he doesn't go very far. Double jointed elbow. My guy's kind of loose on the bottom part of both of his forearms. I think it's because of how he's posed in the packaging. Wrists, rotate, hinged. Ball joint his torso, rotate around, forward and back. Another one in the waist, rotate around, forward and back. Legs, splits, same type of hip joints. Rotation's a little better on him. Go forward about that far, back not much. Double jointed knees, and the ankle, forward and back. Tilt rock, rotate, toe articulation. Here's Superman and Ultraman facing off. Ruins the daily planet all around them. Ultraman uses heat vision against Superman. Here's Ultraman bending a steel beam, about to hit Superman with it. And Superman, being the good guy, gets the upper hand. Here he is, pounding Ultraman. Big old smile on his face. He really likes to win. Here's a look at the crime syndicate staying together in the city streets. Now let's check them out next to some of their action figures. We'll start off with Ultraman, because those comparisons will be a lot faster than Superman's. Here's this new Ultraman on the left, next to the original Target exclusive release on the right. Here's this new Ultraman, standing with the rest of the officially released Crime Syndicate figures. Superwoman, Ultraman, Owlman, and then Power Ring, or Emerald Knight. I guess technically, Atomica is also an officially released member of the Crime Syndicate. Personally, I like to sub in this Page Puncher Flash as Johnny Quick, Crime Syndicate's version of the Flash. Here he is, next to some other Superman rogues. Bizarro, Mongol, General Zod, Lex Luthor, and Superboy Prime. Devastator and Lobo here. They're kind of Superman villains in a way. Devastator is kind of a cross between Batman and Doomsday, and then Lobo started off as an antagonist in Superman comics before he went off and did his own thing. Now on to Superman. Here's this new Superman from the 2-pack, next to the Rebirth Superman. Almost exactly the same figure, except for a different head and a slightly different paint scheme. They also made the unpainted, artist-proof Platinum Chase variant, so it's like we have 3 variants of the Rebirth Superman. So this Rebirth Superman, or whatever you want to call the Superman for the 2-pack, it uses the same Superman-based body that has been used time and time and time and time and time and time again by McFarlane. Online, it's mostly referred to as the Infected Buck, as it started off with the Infected Superman. It's not necessarily a bad sculpt in itself, but it's been used far, far too often, and it's a little bit too buff for Superman. Here are all the different figures that use that Infected Buck. And in the near future, we have the first appearance Superman also using it, Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack also using it, the Hush Superman also using it, and I bet we're going to see it used time and time again in the near future. It's been used to death. It's not bad, but enough is enough at this point. Here's this new Superman, next to the Action Comics number 1000 Superman, which is still my favorite Superman in the McFarlane line. Then, next to the Batman, The Dark Knight Returns Superman, and here he is, next to the Page Puncher Superman, and here, next to the Henry Cavill DC Cinematic Universe Superman, and now, next to the Superman the Animated Series Superman. Here are all of the different McFarlane DC Multiverse Superman figures they've made so far. I count 23 of them. The next couple that are going to be released is going to be the Superman vs. Doomsday Target Exclusive 2-pack, and then the Hush Superman. Now let's check them out. Next to the other 2-packs McFarlane has made. Here's the Flash vs. Red Death 2-pack. Then they made a New 52 Nightwing vs. Red Hood 2-pack. Then they made an Arkham Asylum Batman vs. Joker Mudded Up 2-pack. I believe this is a Walmart exclusive. Then they made an Hal Jordan vs. Dawnbreaker Dark Knight's Metal 2-pack. This is the only way to get a traditional Hal Jordan figure right now. Next, they did an Angry Face Superman vs. Devastator 2-pack. Then, a Curse of the White Knight Batman vs. Azrael 2-pack. After that, they made a Batman The Dark Knight Returns Batman vs. Superman 2-pack. They also made a Batman vs. Hush 2-pack. And the most recent 2-pack they made is a Blue Beetle and Booster Gold 2-pack. Now, I believe the next one coming out is a Superman vs. Cyborg Superman, but that might be some sort of exclusive. I'm really not sure. Now let's check them out. Next is one of their recent released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the Batman Incorporated Batwing, the Nightfall Batman, and the Batman Reborn Two-Faces Batman. Then, with the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, black and white accent version of Superman and Flash. And here they are, next to the 5th wave of Page Punchers. This is a Batman wave. Fighting the Frozen, we have Robin, Batman, Mr. Freeze, and Batgirl. And apparently there's a Platinum Chase variant of this Batgirl. I'm on the hunt for that. And here they are, next to some recent McFarlane Toy Store exclusive figures. Dick Grayson Robin, Superman in his Unchained Armor, the Patina variant, and then Kyle Rayner as a Blue Lantern. And now, next to the Flash movie wave, here they are, next to the Titans wave, Collectible Beast Boy. And here they are, next to some recent Walmart exclusive gold label figures. We have Beast Boy, Vampire Batman and Joker, and Eradicator. Then, with some recent Target exclusive gold label figures, both the Flashpoint, Aquaman and Project Superman, the Joker Eyes Future State Batman, and then Impulse and Deadman. And now, next to Shazam and Wonder Woman from Shazam Fury of the Gods, here they are, next to the Arkham City Riddler and the Arkham Knight Earth 2 Batman skin. And here they are, next to the 2 most recent McFarlane Mega figures, Calabac and Fulcrum Abominus. Then, with the 4th wave of Page Punchers, this is an Aquaman themed wave. Ocean Master, Aquaman, Aqualad, and Black Manta. And now, next to the Dark Knight Trilogy wave, Collectible Bane for the Dark Knight Rises. Here they are, next to the Kingdom Come Armored Batman and the Dark Knight's Metal Gladiator Batman. And here they are, next to the Duke Thomas Signal, both versions of the Jay Garrick Flash and Con-El Superboy. And finally, next to the previous Batman wave, we have the Hush Batman, both versions of the Nightfall Catwoman, both versions of the Rebirth Mr. Freeze, and the Infinite Frontier Joker. Now let's check them out. Next are some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how they fit in, both scale and style-wise. In case you have no signs you can mix them with. Since they're McFarlane figures, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I want to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work way smaller, and I'm going to exclude as many Superman figures as I can during these comparisons. Here they are, next to some of the McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane Toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, here they are, next to a corn skewer, and here he is, next to some DST, or Demon's Select Toys. Then, next to some DC Direct and DC Collectibles Superman figures, and here they are, standing with some NECA figures. Then, next to some Mattel wrestling figures, and now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers, and here they are, next to some Mezco 112 collective figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse Superman figures, and here they are, with some Make-Fix Superman figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends, and here they are, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a cool figure set, but I'll tell ya, that is the worst Superman head sculpt I've seen McFarlane make. McFarlane can really nail the head sculpt sometimes, and they can really fuck them up other times. This is a prime example of a fuck up. Even if the head being on a longer neck peg makes it look a little better, it sure doesn't fix it. It looks goofy, dumb, just stupid. Ultraman, on the other hand, is a little bit of an improvement on the original. The head's a little bit better. And then, of course, you got the little bonus of the Daily Planet diorama logo and Atomica. If I were to rate these guys, I'd probably give the Rebirth Superman a 5 out of 10, and then Ultraman 7, maybe even 7.5. His torso does look a little awkward. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add it to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.